Welcome back, biologists. This is Mr. Forbrick, and today we'll be taking a look at a free response question from the 2015 exam. From what we can see, this is a short free response question, and there's two parts to it. When I have a short free response and it's solely text, I like to read through both parts before I go ahead and decide how I want to plan my response. Now, from the text I can see that both mitosis and meiosis are forms of cell division that produce daughter cells containing genetic information from the parent cell. Part A is asking me to describe two events that are common to both mitosis and meiosis that ensure that the resulting daughter cells inherit the appropriate number of chromosomes. Part B states that the genetic composition of the daughter cells produced by mitosis differs from the daughter cells produced by meiosis. Describe two features of the cell division processes that lead to these differences. So, just getting a sense of the question of the problem itself, it sounds like a compare and contrast to me. Part A is asking me to describe two events that are common to both mitosis and meiosis. All right. Well, Part B is asking me to describe two events that lead to differences in the two outcomes. All right. And so when I take a look at Part A, the first thing I want to think about is what do they really want me to focus on? In Part A, they're really asking me about how do we ensure that the daughter cells inherit the right number of chromosomes. So this is really what we're focusing on. How do we get the right number of chromosomes in each of our daughter cells? Now, to help me out, I'm thinking back to one of the figures coming out of chapter 13 from our text, right? And it's figure number 10. We get a direct comparison between mitosis and meiosis, so let's take a look at where they're similar, and then we'll jump into part B and take a look at where they're different. Now, the first thing that I see that in both scenarios, I have a parent cell, and that parent cell is a diploid organism. All right. In both processes, I see that the very first thing that takes place is there has to be some sort of chromosome duplication. I'm about to produce offspring cells, and so I have to make sure that I have enough DNA to pass along to each of the offspring. So we're going to duplicate the chromosomes. Now, what isn't shown here is after they're duplicating, they're also condensing. All right, and so these chromosomes are starting off as a string chromatin, and they're going to condense into the chromosomes that we see here today. And that'll happen in both of these processes. Just looking at the model, I see some other commonalities as well. I notice that in both scenarios, the chromosomes or genetic material is aligning at the center or a metaphase type plate. And so this is going to be a really critical role in making sure that the right chromosomes make it to the right cells. I also see that both make use of spindle fibers to maneuver these chromosomes around the cells. Now, after that takes place, I also notice that after these chromosomes have aligned in the middle, right, eventually they're going to go ahead and separate into their daughter cells, and those daughter cells will be created through the process of cytokinesis. Now that we've seen some of the similarities between mitosis and meiosis and how they produce daughter cells, now let's take a look at some of those differences that account for why their daughter cells don't quite look the same way. The first and obvious notable difference is that mitosis only has a single cell division. And so we're going to move and we're going to produce one cell, will generate two offspring. Meiosis, on the other hand, is a series of two cell divisions. We have meiosis 1, followed by a second round of division in meiosis 2. That's going to yield us 1, 2, 3, 4 offspring. Another difference is how those cells look and compare to the original parent cell. So looking at my original parent cell, I have a diploid parent. I have 6 total chromosomes. If I look at meiosis, I also see that I have diploid offspring with 6 total chromosomes. But meiosis, my offspring are actually haploid. It means that they have half the number of chromosomes as my original parent cell. And so that'll be another difference that we see here. Another significant and notable difference is meiosis is also going to produce or generate genetic variation. And it's going to do that early on in meiosis 1 during the process of crossing over. So these chiasma is where we're going to see some gene swapping or chromosome trading between the maternal and paternal pairs. In the end, that's why in the very resulting daughter cells, we see that some of our chromosomes either look completely maternal or completely paternal, but some of them have combinations of both paternal and maternal chromosomes. All right, looking back at mitosis, they're identical to the parent cell. There is no trading of the genetic information. These are just some of the many differences between mitosis and meiosis that ensures that their daughter cells get the appropriate number of chromosomes. Well, that's it for this free response question. Thanks for stopping in. We'll see you next time.